So there's this notion that Caitlin Clark's popularity is because she's white and heterosexual. Here's my take on that. As I speak today, I do not know the sexuality of Lisa Leslie, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, Skylar Diggins. I'm not sure if they dibbled and dabbled. Not sure if they're bisexual or lesbian. And I'm not sure it matters. As a matter of fact, I'm positive it doesn't matter. I didn't even know Caitlin Clark's sexuality before a week ago.
Caitlin Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive. And unfortunately, there still is that stigma of against the LGBTQ plus community. 70% of the WNBA is Black. A third of the players are in the LGBTQ plus community. And we have to do something about that stigma in this country. I think that people have a problem with basketball playing women that are lesbians. Who cares? They are great athletes.
Exactly. Who cares? Nobody's deciding on whether or not to watch the WNBA based on whether or not the players are lesbian or not. Like, where the fuck did that even come from? It seems to me to be more excuses and more ways to discredit the things that Caitlin has accomplished. Whether it's the NBA, WNBA, NFL, hockey, tennis, golf, baseball, whatever. It is entertainment first. It is entertainment first. And Caitlin Clark is that. She's entertaining. She brought a new level of excitement to the game of women's basketball with her play style and her success. Throughout her college career in women's Division I basketball, she led the league in scoring each season. Her final year surpassing 30 points per game. Now, I'm not positive, but I believe no other woman has averaged 30 plus points per game for a whole entire season. She even broke the NCAA all-time scoring record for both men and women.
Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? There it is!
And even this accomplishment was attempted to be diminished by basketball legend Sheryl Swoopes.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years.
Now let's look at the facts. Caitlin outscored the former all-time scoring leader, Kelsey Plum, by more than 400 points. They both played 139 games, and Caitlin accomplished it before 139 games. So this idea that she had more time and more years, I don't know where she got her information from, but it isn't a good look. On top of that, she also led the league in assists numerous times, leading to her being second all time on the assist totals list. So not only does she have the numbers, she has that wow factor, that flair, the deep shots that draw the comparisons to Steph Curry, the ball handling skills, the toughness. But great skills tend to lead to great success, which tends to lead to great attention, which in turn, these attributes usually always lead to some form of envy. Now, envy, jealousy is human nature, but with women, sometimes it just hits different.
Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah, she does. I think so.
So let me get this straight. The woman who is leading the all-time scoring list in the NCAA and is a part of the most attention drawn to women's basketball in history isn't a great because she lacks a championship. Okay.
Who plays the style that how
What is
Caitlin
the
plays?
style? Just threes?
Wow.
It's not just threes.
What is her style?
She
New
pick and
school.
roll.
I don't know.
She makes threes. She makes tough shots. She's a great passer. She finishes
So you
at
don't
all
think
levels.
anybody in the league can shoot threes?
No,
It don't matter. That's what I'm saying. You guys are talking about.
The style. Who do you think plays like her? Haven't seen a female play like her.
No, me either.
That's
Because
all I'm saying.
But I think it's like from a freedom standpoint too. I haven't seen a player with that type of green light before in college. I've had games in college and pro, 6, 7, 8 threes made out of 12, 11, 13, not 20. Like,
Now with Lexi Brown right here, I sense a little bit of animosity, but I'll leave that to the viewers, and you can interpret that how you please. Now we have this tweet by Angel Reese. Now, whether she wants to admit it or not, this was definitely indirect shade thrown towards Caitlin Clark. I think quite possibly there's this feeling of feeling overshadowed by Caitlin when Angel Reese, I'll give her flowers right now, has definitely been a part of this newfound growth and exposure towards women's sports. The LSU versus Iowa matchup in 2023's Women's March Madness Finals, where LSU and Angel Reese got the best of Caitlin Clark and Iowa, definitely played a role in a lot of this momentum that we see now. But I gotta call it how I see it. Comes off a little shady, envious.
Caitlin Clark talks her shit. Caitlin Clark is demonstrative. Caitlin Clark, people aren't bothered by that. People aren't bothered by it because they're caught up in the narrative of, oh, here's this, wonderful, kind soul from the great state of Iowa representing Middle America.
Jamel, every dynamic between a black person and a white person does not equate to racism. Breanna Stewart was a 4-time champion in the NCAA. She's white. Kelsey Plum was the NCAA all-time points leader up until Caitlin Clark passed her just this past season. She's white. Both white women, both great players in their own rights, but neither has had an impact on the game's popularity like Caitlin Clark has. Not anywhere close. Now, the perspective of the veteran players and former WNBA players seems to be that the talent has always been here. You all are just late to the party. But when it comes to talent and skill, it needs to be paired with something electrifying, something magnetic to the audience. And magnetic players are marketable. At the end of the day, professional sports is a business. Business needs customers, and customers need a product or experience that is enjoyable, exciting. For the longest, we've heard how the WNBA needed more support and more exposure. And here we have Caitlin Clark, who's done that, and she's done it at a much faster rate than it was going. The 2024 Women's March Madness Final between Caitlin Clark and the Hawkeyes versus the undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks led to the most watched basketball game in the past 5 years at 18.7 million. The WNBA draft, which saw Clark go number 1, attracted 2.45 million viewers. It's never even crossed 1 million before then. The most was around 600,000 20 years ago. In the 2 hours after being drafted, Caitlin Clark's jersey on Fanatics sold more than Trevor Lawrence's did on his draft night. And now she is the highest selling draft prospect of any sport. That's crazy. When she was taken number 1 by the Indiana Fever, immediately the ticket prices doubled from just a year ago. The ticket sales for their opponents who played them went up. Some opponents had to even move to bigger arenas just to accommodate the larger audience. The defending champions, the Aces, and the Liberty are the 2 best-selling teams on StubHub. Their matchup against Caitlin Clark and the Fever are the 2 best-selling games of the season. The season opener between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Suns was the most watched WNBA game on ESPN in history, peaking at 2.3 million. Indiana Fever versus New York Liberty was ABC's most watched WNBA game in history. So hate it or love it, the Caitlin Clark effect is real, and businesses love marketability because marketability leads to the dollars. And Caitlin Clark is marketable, not because she's white or hetero. It's because people were drawn to her style of play and her dominant performances in her college career. And that buzz has still continued over to the beginning of her WNBA career. And if you're a part of the group who wants to see women's basketball and women's sports in general grow and flourish, I would think you would want to get behind this wave and push, because positive light on one member of a group is by default automatically positive light on the group. I now know of more players and teams than I did before. So whether or not Caitlyn's game translates to the WNBA and she goes on to have a legendary professional career, we can agree that in this moment, she has brought exposure and created opportunities for the WNBA and its players, and it's undeniable.